back to the conversation.
It's a secure facility. It's a secure.
Can you call him?
What you guys are doing? But again, I'm here.
I'm speaking with the chief of staff at our congressional office. You know, but I'm told by our Washington office that as a public building, the same as a congressional building in Washington, the public's entitled to walk in.
This is office secretary.
You can hang out all day when he comes back, and there's a point in time when he comes back where he says he had an appointment with you, wants to talk to you.
Why don't you escort me in there and you can make sure I don't know what you're concerned about?
No, I'm not gonna escort you in there. I don't want you on the property.
We ask the EPA to take note that state agencies are ignoring their recognition of carbon emissions as globally hazardous, and they're refusing to meet with us. At this point, it's difficult to tell if the EPA is ignoring us or if the city of West Palm Beach is mediating and on behalf of DEP excluding us from the building. But regardless, we should be able to go inside and find out for ourselves what is happening.
Let's see.
All
right.
Are you all ready to start? Is there any reason to not ask Carol to proceed? All right, Carol, welcome, and I think everybody's assembled, and if you're ready, please go ahead.
Okay, great. One, thank you for inviting me. This is a good opportunity for us. And I wanted to begin by giving a little bit of a background on where EPA is. And with that, we start out, where do the greenhouse gas emissions come from? And we're looking at the overall growth in emissions of almost 15% between 1990 and 2008 of U.S. Generated greenhouse gas emissions. Now, the increase has slowed down in more recent years. We make up less than 5%. We, as in the U.S., makes up less than 5% of the world's population, yet we create roughly a quarter of the world's demand for oil.
Right. Cool. I think Ari. Thank you. Ari had a question that he wanted to ask both of you, if possible. This is my son, Ari.
Oh, hi, Ari.
When you begin to regulate and monitor greenhouse gases?
Pardon me?
I'd like to read a short opening statement, but if I can present it.
Any materials you give to me, I will pass along to our headquarters in Tallahassee, to the people who are actually involved in making, analyzing, reviewing, proposing policy related to these issues.
Okay. We've come here in the spirit of openness, in the interest of finding out what the Southeast DEP District can contribute to the urgency we are facing with the looming climate crisis. With your pen, you can cause greater impacts to the planet than the rest of us in this room will likely cause in our lifetimes. I've personally taken part in meetings held by task force, boards, and agencies across the state discussing the threats of climate change. I've read studies and resolutions from multiple public agencies. Meetings, studies, and resolutions do not lower carbon in the atmosphere. It takes real action of the sort that the DEP is mandated by the state of Florida to carry out through monitoring, regulation, and enforcement. Knowingly allowing the permitting of unmonitored carbon emissions is a grave and criminal negligence in violation of your mandate to protect the environment, and there is no excuse for waiting. While the DEP cannot sink below EPA standards, you are able to improve upon them in the interest of the people of this state. and we consider the failure to do so an act with criminal intent.
I'm also here representing the City of Riviera Beach Education Committee, and we are concerned about the plant that is in Riviera Beach, the pollution that it lets off anyway, that's harming, has already harmed the citizens and our children in our city. And we're here asking you to please do something to stop these greenhouse gases, especially coming from the Florida Power and Light plant. You already know which is one of the worst in the country.
I'm concerned about the level of greenhouse gas emissions, and I want to find out what's going on and what needs to be done to take corrective measures.
Diane Sullivan, I'm a senior citizen, and I think seniors are disproportionately affected by environmental health issues as well as being hit in the pocketbook by the results of environmental issues.
I'm chairman of the Educational Committee for the Riviera Beach Civic Association. I'm here about the fact that my problem is that there's two power plants here. One is the largest power plant in the state. We're situated between the largest power plant in the state and the dirtiest. You know, and you're talking about the emissions and all this kind of stuff. I mean, we're getting it all. And I can understand how the DEP even approved the one out west when you know you have this dirty one here and you put us right in the middle of it. That's basically, I'm looking at it, you're trying to kill us.
And what I think we're all reflecting is the lack of a sense of urgency on the regulating bodies to stop the known polluters, FPL, with their dirty power plants. It's not enough to give a lick and a promise. It's time for a full house cleaning. That's it.
Isn't Florida Power and Light doing more to create solar energy and alternative sources of energy?
There is a lot of concern for the contradictory actions of restoring a major ecosystem and then not working to preserve it. We focus on trying to help people be sustainable on an individual level, but it's no use if the governmental bodies above us aren't doing their job too. We can only do so much, and like Panayiote said, with your pen, so much more than what I can do on a small level.
We're very concerned about rock mining. A number of rock mines are currently being permitted in the Everglades restoration footprint. One was just approved called Star Ranch. It's very close to important restoration areas. We want to see an end to the loss of wetlands. Wetlands sequester carbon. It's very important that we stop permitting the destruction of wetlands. Wetlands are particularly important in the area of the Turkey Point power plant. Right now, D.E.P is in the process of permitting the destruction of a large number of wetlands in the Turkey Point power plant area. The other problem is a lot of these power plants are very heavy users of water. Water is a critical resource. The water is used by the power plants, it becomes polluted, it is then deep well injected. We're very concerned about that deep well injection.
The people are tired of this pass the buck mentality where because there's so many players and so many bureaucratic paper walls, the people from these agencies are allowed to continue to play some kind of pass the buck game where nobody's responsible and all of them do absolutely nothing. I have seen more passion in the cockroach in order to survive as a species. I don't know where the passion is. If there is a bureaucratic wall such as is being explained to us right now, where there's a bunch of regulations and a bunch of laws and a bunch of applications that must be granted, that must be this, a passionate person who's supposed to be protecting the environment would find ways to fight that, and I'm not seeing that in the representatives from the DEP nor the EPA. And people are sick of it. I'm very committed to mobilizing people, and we will continue to protest because apparently you all need someone to pull your ear every step of the way. It's really pathetic. I'm very unsatisfied, and these so-called regulating agencies are very incompetent. Like Al mentioned before, I have no idea how you all thought that in any way it was even possible to permit a power plant in the Everglades. We are actually the shame of the world for that. The Everglades, in case some of the environmentalists who work for these so-called environmental protection agencies don't know is a unique ecosystem, and we have a responsibility to protect it, not to mention that we're actually paying to restore it. And at the same time, y'all gave a permit to for a power plant, one of the largest, if not the largest, fossil fuel power plant in the country, in the Everglades. And people whose job it is to protect the environment should have had the passion to fight that power plant and to not allow it to be built. I don't care what the law, what's legal and what's not legal. It's wrong, and it's murder.
I think we've reached an end point, and as I said, I appreciate you all coming. You've given thought to these issues, and you've expressed your thoughts very coherently, and we've heard them, and that's all we can do right now is to listen to what you say and consider it.
So I'm riding my bike fast down to the entrance of the power plant. Gonna ruin all their plans while fighting for Florida. We're gonna take our stand. So don't go home, 'cause you know how lonely when you slow it. You'll never be alone when you feel that lonely wind. Feel that lonely wind blowing, blowing. So don't go home, 'cause you know how lonely wind is blowing. You'll never be alone.